What can a top sports star bring to politics?
I think there is a big crossover in what you need as a sportsman and then as a politician, especially kind of for Olympic sport where there's a long-term plan and you have to deliver on that plan on one day. So it's about setting a goal that at the outset might seem unachievable and then working your way towards it, forming a team and then a relationship within that team to deliver on that goal under pressure. And some of those are skills that are required in politics, and also as was mentioned there, the stamina required to undergo the long haul and not be afraid to ask yourself tough questions.
Well, the stamina, I think Nigel Farage will certainly sympathise with on that front. What about MEP? Why MEP and not MP?
Because I'm on the candidates list for Westminster, and I thought long and hard about it, but I'm sure as Nigel will agree with, the next 5 years, the crucial part of this country's future lies in Europe and trying to find a situation where the people of Britain are happy with our relationship with Europe, and that's got to happen through a meaningful renegotiation and then the offering of a referendum off the back of it.
Right, and do you think we should remain in the European Union come what may?
I think we can't say that until we've been through the process of renegotiation, and to get a real meaningful renegotiation, the other powers have to realise that we are serious about leaving. Otherwise, you're kind of going in there with one arm behind your back in a renegotiation. And if we're not serious about leaving, we're not going to get anything out of the renegotiation.
And that, James, is the problem, isn't it? I mean, I quite agree with you. You know, if you're going to get anything in Europe, you have to walk into the room with a great big stick. The difficulty is that Cameron has repeatedly said, whatever the outcome of the renegotiations, he will support a stay-in vote at the referendum. And that weakens, I think, in Brussels, our chances of getting anything, frankly.
The reality is that we can be part of the European Union or not, but we cannot leave Europe unless someone's developed a way of digging up Britain and just towing it somewhere else. We need to get Europe to work for the people of Britain, but also as a continent in itself, because it is too slow and too undynamic at the moment, and that needs to be changed. But we also have to have the confidence to back ourselves and to back ourselves in believing we can affect change for the benefit of the people in this country, but also the benefit of the continent as well.
Do you think you had an advantage in the selection process because you're so famous, you're so well known, and that gives you a head start?
Well, I can't walk down the street, obviously, without being Rebecca's nose.
I know it's a problem. Don't you hate it?
No, I deliberately put myself through the same position as everyone else, because the biggest trust that people can do is give their vote to you. And I wanted to show that I was worthy of them trusting me with their vote. And to do that, I wanted to go through the same process as everyone else and find out that if I failed at any step, that I would be cut adrift. And I went through the last year to get onto the list of going to the hustings and trying to show people it wasn't just a sort of glamour thing. It wasn't a choice. The reality is that this isn't something I had to do. It's something I wanted to do. And in order to do that properly, you start at the same place as everyone else.
Were you sporty at school, Nigel?
I played all sports. I was best at cricket and golf, I suppose, are the ones I was best at. But I follow all sports fanatically.
And do you think it helps if you are fit and you have got the stamina, as James Cracknell said, as Ming Campbell said there?
I think the point about, when you're a sportsman, you have a goal. And you're working for something 2, 3, 4, 5 years in the future, and everything is leading up to that big event. And actually politics is very like that too. Some long-term plans of where you need to get to. I think it's a very good thing. I think we've got too many people in British politics who've done nothing in their lives at all, apart from after Oxford work in research offices. So let's have people like James, let's have characters in politics who've got a broad life experience.
I think that's very true. I think whether it's sport or business or the charity sector, there's people who bring something in from the outside, and if you have performed well under pressure as well, which I think is a key part of delivering a sport. You have 4 years and 1 day to do it, and the same with leading up to the election on May the 22nd. I want to get there, and with no if-onlys. If only I hadn't gone and understood various parts of the big region I'm standing, from Swindon to Gibraltar to Plymouth to Gloucester. It's a huge area. And I want to look at the people I'm asking for their vote and say I understand the issues in their area.
I mean, interestingly, you've both suffered serious injuries in fairly recent times, and you've both continued with busy working lives. How have those injuries, I'll ask Nigel first, how's that affected you in terms of the work you do and the schedule that you have?
Well, I was back in hospital in November. I had major surgery in November as a result of that last aeroplane crash, and I may have 1 or 2 more bits and bobs of tidying up to be done as the years go by. So, I mean, look, it's like everything in life, isn't it? We all go through bad things in life. It's about how we respond to them. And in my case, and I'm sure James's, a total refusal to accept that we can't go on doing what we did before.
Do you share that? Has it made you more determined?
I think it's made me more determined to firstly make the most of every day, because I was 24 hours away from never seeing my kids again, and focusing on the things that matter to you, which, you know, effectively the future of this country matters to me, because it's going to affect my kids and my grandkids. But the one thing that I've been surprised at and want to sort of be part of affecting change is the limits, that whether they are medical experts or whether they are in your sporting sense of people placing limits on what you can achieve. If you listen to those limits, you're only ever going to hit that ceiling. Whereas if you think, I want to get to here, and you plot a pathway through, okay, you may not get there, but you're going to break through that ceiling. And I think whether someone's had whether it's a medical accident, or whether it's a separation, whether it's losing a job, whatever it is, I think you shouldn't let other people place limits on you. You should set your own targets and then work to achieve them.
So how are you going to deal with UKIP in the election?
Who's that?
How are you going to deal with UKIP in the election? What will you say? What will your message be to combat the threat?
I think we need to create a place where the people of Britain are happy with Europe, and the founding principle of the European Union is, you know, an ever closer integration, which when the people of Europe, whether it be France or Holland, were asked in 2005, they reject that massively. And I think that's the first thing we need to do, is just that there doesn't need to be ever closer social integration, especially without accountability to the national parliament.
We've had enough. We want a divorce. We want a divorce from political union.
We know.
Simple as. And that's what the majority now
get
want.
Divorced,
you know,
and get remarried. Look at Elizabeth Taylor and Roger Burton. You know,
That's a good example. Yeah, that really worked.
All right,
Really worked.
we should get into politics.
We're going to have to let you go, I'm afraid.
Did a good golf swing inhibit or enhance your batting skills?
The two actually don't go very well together.
That's what I thought.
Absolutely.
Well done for the short answer.
That's why.
So you have to choose. But we could talk about this for a long time if you
No,
want.
not now. Thrilling,
That's
though.
why-
Thank you, James Cracknell.
That's why I never played golf.